pessoal, para os que já, so we already have some people watching, people are joining soon. A Wendy é uma violoncelista maravilhosa, nós fomos colegas na época de Julia, da classe do Krosnick. E a Wendy, além de ter uma carreira de solista, de já ter tocado com a Filarmônica de Nova York, de Boston, de Singapura, ela tem feito um trabalho maravilhoso de divulgação do cello na internet. E são vídeos que são para profissionais, para amadores, para estudantes. E eu acho que isso daí é uma realidade que tem muito a ver com o que a gente está vivendo nesse momento. Mas ela já estava fazendo isso antes. Então, para a gente é uma oportunidade bem especial. O jeito que a gente vai fazer é aquele de sempre. As pessoas, eu vou fazer 2 perguntas para ela, depois vocês vão colocando os comentários e todo mundo participa. So, Wendy, just translating, thank you very much for being here with us today. I mean, there are many professional cellists that follow those lives, or students and young professionals also, that they want to keep studying and be inspired. And I said that you are a wonderful, wonderful cellist, and we were colleagues in New York. And not only you've been a soloist with some of the best orchestras in the world, but you have a very interesting career. You tried different things, and you're reaching out to people that do not normally go to concerts. And I think this is really important these days. And also the work that you do with the cello on the internet, even before the quarantine time, it's really, I think with the quarantine now, we cannot go back anymore. I mean, this is a reality, and you've been doing for quite a while. And the first question that I have for you is, you know, not really a question, but so if you could talk a little bit about your career and how you decided to go along the path that you followed. So that's it. The first one is that one.
Okay. So yes, I agree. I had a very non-traditional cello career. I would say most, cellists or a lot of classical musicians, the path is usually have a university teaching job like you do, right? Or some play in orchestras. Some may play in string quartets, but they still have to teach in universities, and those are the big choices. Obviously, there are other ones like they're private teachers, or they may have a mix of all these things and may have a solo career and be, playing in recitals and concertos, a mix of everything, and freelance, right? So those are the normal paths. But my path has been really non-traditional. As soon as I got out of Juilliard, I went and became a teaching artist in the New York Philharmonic. And I've been there for like the past 18 years. So everybody must be asking, what is a teaching artist? So basically what we've done is that we use this very specific teaching method. It's called aesthetic education, and is about, it's not about so much about information kind of teaching, not factual teaching like Beethoven was born this year and he, not that kind of teaching, but it's more about the aesthetics of helping young students to develop a personal relationship with music. So it's more about experiential. So it's experience before information. And actually, I think because actually, I don't know if you remember, but when I was at Juilliard, I took a class in the Morse Fellowship. Did you take that class by chance?
I didn't take, but I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I got started, was that idea of developing that relationship with young people and also with audiences. And so I right away after I graduated became a teaching artist at the Philharmonic, and I taught for many years. But also one of the things that we've done was that we created interactive concerts at the Philharmonic. So what that means is that the concerts were not just you are the audience, and we are the performers, and you're just supposed to understand what we play, and we don't talk. You know, it's very interactive. We explain, we do activities so that people have a connection. It's about building that relationship with audiences. So basically, that idea and philosophy really sparked me as a musician, as a cellist, because I just understand about the idea that music is more than just playing, is more than just performing. It's really about bringing people together and building relationships, and that's really what's meaningful about music. And I felt at that time, you know, a lot of people kind of see classical music as an art form that is for elitists, you know, for people who are rich, people who have access. And my philosophy has always been music, classical, any sort of music. But for me, because I came from a classical music tradition, my idea is that classical music can be appreciated by anyone, and anywhere, and regardless of your education, understanding, or your socio economic backgrounds. But you, as the performer and as a teaching artist, you know, your job is to create that relationship and create that point of entry with your audiences. So long story short, this is my philosophy in my life, right? So this is why it's important to talk about this. And then I created an ensemble called Classical Jam, and we toured for many, many years. And we did a lot of educational outreach workshops, and I was the founder and artistic director. And it's a very unique ensemble because it's not like a traditional string quartet. It has flute, it's got violin, viola, cello, and then percussion. So very unique. So we had to come up with our repertoire. But always we gave interactive concerts and workshops. We did improv workshops, and then we would invite audiences to be part of our performances. So the idea is that, you know, music is meant to be shared, you know, not just the audience and performers kind of like, you know, it's really integrative, you know what I mean? So anyway, okay, so then fast forward all of this, and so that's what I've done for many years. And then also in the meantime, this is interesting. I started doing YouTube. You may not know this, Fabio. I started doing YouTube actually like 8 years ago, but I was doing it for fun, and I was a beauty blogger. So I was talking about beauty on YouTube, and it became a business on the side. And so I learned everything about social media, and I just did it for fun. It's a little bit of, you know, extra income on the side. But because of doing that, I developed a lot of skills in social media. So when my film came out last year, Passion, which by the way is going to be streaming tonight on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern, I just kind of use those skills to help put everything on YouTube. And my goal is, going back to what I said at the very beginning, is really about developing relationships with everyday audiences. And now, obviously, we don't have, like, I can't go out and go into schools or anywhere right now. So now I have basically transferred all my social media skills and all my skills as a teaching artist, and my passion for music and cello, and my desire to communicate these ideas, my passion for music with wide audiences through the internet. So that's how YouTube came about. So that's like kind of a long explanation, but that's my philosophy in life, and I just want to share. That's really why I'm doing all this social media stuff. Yeah.
And that's really important. I think I don't know if you know. I think we met during our master's degree, but I remember my first day as a bachelor student. Prosnick had all the cello students together, and I wasn't his student. And you know, he said in the very first day, you have to think what's the role of the cello and of a musician nowadays. And I was 18 years old, and I only thought, I want to play Dvorak concerto. I don't care. But you know, later on, this was a very important talk that he had with us, because you know, if we just keep doing things the way they always were, eventually classical music is going to disappear. So reaching out, bringing it to the modern days, it's something I mean, you reach out to schools. We do a lot of that in Brazil also.
Great.
And I think this is really an important task for us these days. And I think you do marvelous work with that. And of course, it helps that you have all the knowledge of what you did before.
Yeah.
And you are a wonderful cellist, so it's a great combination.
So yeah, it's that mix of being a teaching artist and cellist and social media person. That's why I'm doing that. And I'm really hoping that this is not just like, maybe I'm like, I have more time right now, so I can put a lot of effort into it. But I really hope there will be like a lot more collaborations with you, with like different people in the world, like different musicians from around the world, because everything is online and through the internet now. So, and I'm hoping that we can collaborate in the future and do stuff. And because I don't think it's just about me, it's really about music. And right now, I don't know how it is in Brazil, but in the States, a lot of orchestras are really in trouble right now because of the coronavirus. And a lot of them don't know how they can manage. Some, I'm sure, and I hate to admit this, some will probably go out of business because of what's happening. And even when they, everything goes back to normal, even when they say, okay, we're going to open up and people are going to go back to the concert hall, it's going to be different. Some people are going to be afraid to go to the concert hall, and if you do go to the concert hall, you may have to sit 6 feet apart, under the guidelines. So there's going to be a lot of changes in the future. And I think right now, probably, I'm guessing for a lot of musicians, not just cellists, well, any form of musicians, we have to really rethink about how we can be relevant in the future. Not just in the concert halls. And like you were saying, when we're young, we're like, yeah, we just want to play Dvorak concerto with orchestra. That's all we care about. We're going to win all the competitions, get a manager, play for conductors, get visibility, play at Carnegie Hall or whatever, and really, get out there, right? That was us.
Yeah.
All of us were interested in that. And not to say that's not important, and I'm still interested in playing and sharing my music, but it's also very important to talk about like the meaning of why we do what we do and how we can sustain this. And I think that, talking about what you said about Krosnick and Juilliard, I also took this class. I don't know if you also had a chance to take this class with Dr. Polisi. And Dr. Polisi was a president at the Juilliard School when we were there, and he taught a class called Artists as Citizens. And that class had a really big impact. Did you take it also? Did you take that class? You did? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. I mean, that class to me had a big impact because he was really making us think about what is our role as musicians. Like you said, not just to play the Dvorak concerto. I mean, that's a given that you can play your Dvorak cello concerto well and do well, whether it's an orchestra situation, teaching, performing, solo, chamber music, doesn't matter. But like, how are we representing, I mean, this is how I think about it. Like how are we representing humanity through the arts? And right now, I think it's so relevant right now because you see what is bringing us together, right, on TV or on the internet is people sharing their music. And that is the most common language. And during uncertain times like this, I mean, really, I don't know how you were, but here in New York, when everything got shut down, I really freaked out. Like all of the work that I had lined up, everything got canceled. Everything got canceled. And I had to rethink about not only how to make a living, but also I had to rethink how I might, and not just me, but like as an industry, as musicians, how can we continue to be relevant? And I mean, I think it's an ongoing conversation. It's not going to be like, oh, this is the solution. It's going to be multi-layers of conversations on multi-layer of things that we have to do to keep what we do alive and important. So that's just what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
What about you, Fabio? Like, how has this impacted you as a musician, the virus?
Well, I think I also got many concerts canceled,
Yeah.
and in a way for me, it has a good part because now I can spend a lot of time with my kids. Um, and this is not what I can do normally. But yeah, the concerts were canceled, and what I missed the most is the live lessons. I'm still struggling with Zoom and with Skype because actually internet in Brazil is not as good as what you guys get up there.
Yeah.
So we are thinking of ways of teaching. They're not necessarily on Skype and Zoom, but platforms that you can send videos and the students send back, and we send little exercises.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been watching a lot of what you've been posting with the short exercises, because this is the kind of stuff that you can do, and you don't need to be online at the same time, and it doesn't depend on the person's internet or So yeah, these are things that we have to think now, and there's no way back, even if things go back to normal soon, which I don't believe. I think in a way, Yo-Yo Ma has opened this path a few decades ago, right? A couple of decades ago, when he got out of the mainstream and started looking at Brazilian music, at Chinese music, at the Silk Road Project, and he was already thinking, how do we get people interested in this wonderful instrument that we have? Because the way things are, we soon nobody's gonna know it anymore, and and this is really quite. And I also remember in '96 when I arrived in New York that I saw him on TV saying, every day when I wake up and I think, why do I play? What does this instrument mean to people? And of course, my only thought was, why is he thinking that? He plays Dvorak, and but then this was really wise. And I have to say that I think we were very lucky that Polisi was the president of Juilliard during our time, because he was always, he was pretty much ahead of his time, I think.
Absolutely. He really was. He was ahead of his time. Because in thinking about my education, and not to diminish any of my teachers or my teaching, but it was a different time, because when I was born in Hong Kong, so I came to the United States when I was 12 years old, and I went to Boston. And at that time, it was very simple. It really was just about playing your Dvorak concerto, or whatever concertos. It's like you just go home and practice. That was the teaching. That was the teaching. Go home and practice. You come back for your lessons, and then practice some more and win some competition. That was the recipe for success. And there were never any conversations about like what is the path for a musician? Like what does it require for a musician to be successful? Not just like successful as in like win a lot of competitions or be like the world's most famous, but really successful in the sense that how can we as musicians be satisfied in communicating our art form with people, and it requires all these things, and it does require a lot of entrepreneurial skills. It requires you to know how to put your website together, right? That was not something they taught us. It requires that you have a good press kit. Back then, you need to have like an actual paper press kit, right?
Yeah.
Now it's all online. It requires you to have nice photos. How do you represent yourself? How do you write to presenters? How do you pitch to presenters? And what's your idea? Like there are 5 million other cellists out there, and everybody plays really well. But everybody is a very different artist. But you have to learn how to communicate what is it about your art form and what you're offering to the world that is unique to you. I mean, I don't believe that, like, I think I used to have this mentality. I don't know if you did as well, Fabio, but, growing up, it was like, there was Yo-Yo Ma. It's that one cellist, one seat for that one person who could be that most famous cellist in the world, and that's it, right? So you strive to, I mean, at least for me, I was very much following his path, and I strive to be that person, and to have those opportunities. But really,